Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Real with Shannon Live. Because you don't know how it's going to turn out.
My kids empowered me to get out.
What's going on with this remote learning and in the midst of COVID?
Working for different elected officials, learning and understanding how to put the community first.
Hi, thank you for watching Keeping It Real with Shannon tonight. Look, I'm getting tongue-tied already to start on the show with. So we want to welcome everybody to the show tonight, and thanks for joining us. And my co-host, Dr. Vanessa Dudanzi. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Lottie?
Well, you know, our topic tonight is very serious. Mm-hmm. School violence on the rise in the school is just getting out of hand, and the students are getting out of control. But I'm happy to have two young ladies joining us tonight that can shed some light on what's happening in the schools. So let's welcome them to the show.
Absolutely. Our guest tonight is Miss Mona Davids. She's one of the founders of the New York City School Safety Coalition. She advocates not only for the children's safety in school, but also their transportation to and from school. And our other guest is her co-founder is Miss Kian Simpkin. She's a New York City school safety agent and the other co-founder for the New York City School Safety Coalition. Let's welcome my guests to the show tonight.
Well, hello there, Miss Mona and Miss Kian. How are you? How you both doing?
Welcome back.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us tonight, because this is serious, and I have real concern, and I'm just devastated every time I look at the television and I see every day about a student being stabbed by another student in the schools. And the first question I wanted to ask is, what do you think that this is such a spike in this rise in school violence? Because when we used to fight and everything like that, we put our Vaseline on and we going out there and take care of business and do what we had to do. We didn't come to school with knives and thinking about stabbing another student. And now it's almost like it's an everyday thing that every day we're seeing this. So what do you and Q think this is coming from?
I'll let Mona take that first and then I'll follow up.
See, you beat me to it, because I was about to say that you need to take that first because you are the one in the schools.
No, I'm gonna let you take that first, because you're the person who sees it from the outside, and then I can tell you what I see from the inside. So that makes it come full circle.
Okay, so with many of the students, what we've seen on the outside with our youth is a rise in gang activity. They're shooting each other, they're jumping each other, they're stabbing, they're slashing each other. All of this is that rise in gang activity. And what we've been saying at the coalition for the last 3 years is what happens in the streets is going to spill over into the schools. And that's, that is what has happened. Another contributing factor is post-COVID. A lot of the kids are still traumatized from what happened during the COVID shutdown, being away from their peers, schools closed for an entire year. This has also impacted the mental and emotional well-being of our children. And then last but not least is this raise the age law that was enacted a couple of years ago. That also plays a factor, because it's sort of a revolving door. The youth, and especially the gang leaders, know that when a teen is charged, what's going to happen is, depending on the severity of the crime, most likely they'll go to family court and then they'll be released into the custody of their parents. So they know that there's no accountability. So all of these things, I believe, looking from the outside, are contributing factors to this crisis, because that's what it is. It's a crisis that we have. It's not just one thing, it's a few things.
Yeah.
So
what go ahead, Vanessa.
Well, just to piggyback off that, since you talk about age to rage, are there any repercussions after the incident has happened in the school? Are there any repercussions for that student to return to school? Or what are other alternatives that a parent has?
I'll take
I'll
that.
let Corianne take that one.
I'll take that. So basically what Mona said, I'm just going to follow up and answer your question. What happens is basically when the kids are getting into these situations and they're now getting through the process of, consequences, there really aren't many consequences. There's not many consequences on the Department of Education or the New York City Public School side. There's not many complications on the NYPD side because with the raise the age, they've kind of tied NYPD's hands. So, I mean, I'm a person who can tell you from that point of view of dealing with students who have come in with weapons, and then I have to process this, which means I have to, make a report. I have to write out the report. I have to do the voucher for the weapon, and the child is never leaving the building. The child is in that building. They never leave. Parent comes, you do the process of releasing the child to the parent. You got to do the paperwork, and the child goes with their parent. Most of the time, not even from a precinct, they go home, and then they have to show up at a hearing, and the hearing is usually not even in family court. Depending on the age of the child, is usually at the Department of Education's facilities where they're doing hearings.
Okay, hold up. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but let's back up here because have I missed something here? Are you telling me when a child, when one of these young people stab another student, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so the police comes, or they don't come?
They come.
Okay, they come. So now you stab somebody. That's an assault. You mean to tell me that kid is not arrested?
So let's break down what happened with the Murrow situation because I'm going to follow that one. And Mona knows I'll talk about this. So the young man who stabbed the other young man, he was basically arrested, but he didn't get apprehended. He turned himself in. When he turned himself in, what ended up happening was there was a report done stating that he was in possession of a weapon and the fact that it was a felony assault. He went home from the precinct, but that's because he left the building and he had to turn himself in. If he would have been in that building, I don't know what the consequences would have been for that one because of his age. He's 15 years old. So
but it's still on school grounds. Because you turn yourself in, that doesn't separate you from the severity of the crime. And it is an assault too. An assault too is a felony. So it means, so really to have this child just get a juvenile report sent home, you still allow the student to return to school the next day? Like business as usual?
No. In this case, Dr. Vanessa, what happened was he went home with his parent, and then there was, video footage and there was Facebook footage of things that he said and that it was premeditated. Then he was re-arrested and then he was recharged with attempted murder. And now he's taken into custody and now he's in juvenile detention. Like I said, there's very little consequences for these children's actions. And I'm not saying throw them in the jail, turn the key and leave them there. But these kids know, like Mona said, there's a lot of gang activity, there's a lot of gang violence, and then the gang violence and the gang activity, that's how they make their money, that's how they get their things that they need, and it's in the buildings because it's on the streets. And a lot of kids that are carrying weapons are not even gang bangers, they're kids who are actually afraid for their own safety, and I can understand that. So, the weapons that I'm confiscating in the pre-K through 8, it happens there. It's happening everywhere because of the anxiety and the fear and the heightened sense of, I want to protect myself in case I encounter a situation. So I understand that. But one more time, this raise the age is killing us. These no consequences for these children's actions, even in the DOE. I mean, there's school infractions that are being done, and it's just being looked the other way.
So what's the age? What's the age? What's the age?
18.
Wow. And you're confiscating weapons from pre-K?
4th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all grades.
Wow. That's early.
All grades. Early childhood is pre-K through 2, and you find all types of weapons that they have in there. I mean, I would tell Mona had me laugh. I had Mona laughing one time when I told her last year. There was a young kid that was in the 1st grade that bought a knife because the other kid was stealing his snacks, and he was going to get him.
Well, wait a minute. I'm a little confused here because now you remember the little boy that shot the teacher, the 6-year-old that shot the teacher, right? Now I think didn't they arrest him and he's been charged? I'm trying to get the whole story. I saw it on TV that he's been charged for shooting the teacher. So how does a 6-year-old get charged for shooting someone, and then the older kids can get away with stabbing somebody? And what is going
on? Shannon, that 6-year-old child didn't reside in the city in the state of New York.
Like Virginia.
These are the nonsensical laws that they have in place in New York City with the far left people who are so woke so they need to wake up because they're grooming these children to be a youth organization of murderers, criminals. Because honestly speaking, this is what these kids are doing. And that 6-year-old that killed that teacher, it was horrific. But if he had been in New York City or New York State, I guarantee you he probably would have been home.
And they charge parents.
Now, well, is this a new something that have changed? Because I thought back in the day, a little bit later, back in the years, that when the child did do something in school, they were arrested.
This is since
They weren't sent home.
This is
then.
since
Is this something changed?
2018.
Something along the way.
In 2018,
Mm-hmm.
2018, 2019. They created Raise the Age. And I get it, because you know the culpability of a child, their mind frame, they don't understand things fully. But you know what? I mean, I get it. I get why they put that in place. And it was great. You know, it's a great idea and a great thought. Until people in the background, these adults who use these children as pawns and puppets, started to realize that they could benefit from it. And now what they do, they use their influence on these children, which is money, popularity, you know, clothes and things that, you know, these kids don't have, that these adults that are at the top tier of these gangs and these little cells of, you know, criminality, they're using that to their advantage.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sad part about it. They're using these kids, and these kids they're going to allow themselves to be used because they're getting what they want.
Absolutely. That's absolutely.
So what about the principals now? Because I know, you know, a lot of times the principal gets changed quite often. So it is about the leadership there in the school. I mean, I know the principal can't keep things from happening, but it seems like sometimes the principals that are very strict and who don't tolerate nonsense, it seems like they have more control over their schools.
That's true. It's true, because you know, in the school rules, school leaders, they make the rules, they know. But one more time, even school leaders, they have to follow Chancellor's rules and regulations, and they're governed by the top tier of who's on top of them. And they have so much leeway too, because they can say one thing. And you know, okay, Shannon, so let me tell you, remember back in the days, let's go back. And I'm not that old, I'm not going to date myself like Mona always says. But you know, the principals had rights, right? You know, the principals say, you're going to get a principal suspension. This Johnny did this. Okay, this is you're going to get detention. I'm going to have you do this. You're going to stay after school. You're going to do lunchroom service, community service. Those things, they don't do them anymore. You know why? Because they were calling them corporal punishment. They were stating that administrators were taking the kids that they didn't like, and they were giving them these punishments because they didn't like Johnny, they didn't like Billy, but they liked Timmy, so Timmy didn't.
Well, see, that's what I was saying, Q, because you got suspended. You had consequences that you did, and the kid. That's what I'm saying. The kids wasn't acting up like they're acting up now.
So now what they have now is this wonderful thing called ORS. It's called the online reporting system. So the school can't even make a decision on what's happening with this child. So let me tell you, first and foremost, pre-K through 2, early childhood, there's nothing in Chancellor's rules and regulations that governs their consequences. There's nothing for them, because they said that their brain and their mind frame that they don't understand. So they don't have anything going on with them. But you know, from grades 3 into 8 to up until 12, they have Chancellor's rules. But you have to put every incident online as a school, and then you get an answer back from the online reporting system as to what they want you to do with the child. The child can get an IHS, which is an in-house suspension, which means you have to keep them in the whomever. They can get an outside suspension, which is a superintendent.
Well, hold that thought, Q. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
It's Shannon. It's Shannon.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
We're back. Thank you for joining us. Our topic today is school violence on the rise, and we've been talking about all the stabbings and assaults that's taking place in the school. But Q and Mona, I want to say that I'm thinking now when we are talking about it goes to the school safety agents as well, and what the school is doing, because they took a lot of the school safety agents out. They didn't hire them back. They say they act like they didn't need them. Then they were supposed to put them back. Then something else came up. Now I understand they're going to put some of them back, because you need more than one school safety agent in a school that has 3 and 4 buildings of school children in there. And do you feel that the schools are doing enough? Is the principal and the assistant principal, what is the staff doing to try to help manage some of this? And what is the chancellor doing that, to help put some of this, because it seems like all of a sudden now, since we got the new chancellor, I thought things were going to get better. It seems like things have gotten worse.
Well, okay, so you forgot to include what is the mayor doing.
Well, we'll start with him.
We'll start with him. So,
I know he's the cause of the safety agents not being there.
Because of the budget crisis, the mayor did cancel the class of 250 agents, but because there was such a huge outcry, they did reinstate the class. And I'm not sure, but Quyan would know, I think they reinstated a class of about 135 school safety agent cadets. But what we found out last week is that the mayor is also launching a program called Assistant School Safety Agents. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why he kept it a secret, but this is a great program. And with the Assistant School Safety Agents, they'll be hiring 18 to 20-year-olds. So if you're between the ages of 18 and 20 years old, you can become an assistant school safety agent. You will go through the same training as our regular school safety agents, but you'll be an assistant school safety agent. So you don't take the civil service exam because you're too young to take that exam. And with the assistant school safety agents, they're looking at a salary that is $2,000 below the starting salary for a regular school safety agent. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's about $33,000. And at the age of 21, they can decide to become a full school safety agent or go into some other field in civil service. But just think about that. As an 18-year-old, I wish I had, all you need is a high school diploma or GED. But as an 18-year-old, I wish I was earning $33,000 a year. So this is a great opportunity. And with the assistant school safety agents, they will go into the elementary schools so that NYPD school safety can move the other agents into the middle schools and the high schools. So that is one of the ways that the city of New York and the mayor is actually, trying to, I guess, address the school safety agent shortage. But as an 18 to 20-year-old, they will be Teamsters Local 237 members. They'll have city health insurance. I think this is a great program to keep our young people off the street. I see someone said that
you can take
I think Janine, yeah. But to be an assistant school safety agent, there is no exam. 18 to 20 years old, and you have to have a high school diploma or a GED. And we're just waiting on DCAS to give the temporary hiring code so that they can start hiring our young people for that position. So that's something that's a positive development that the mayor is doing. So we're appreciative of that. And speaking of scanning, they're going to be rolling out new, less invasive, so-called less invasive scanners, about 79 of them to start with. And our hope is that NYPD School Safety and the Department of Education, install one of those scanners at Edward R. Murrah High School.
So now I want to get to the actions, get some specifics here, nitty gritty stuff. Q, since you work directly in the school, what is it that you see that the school could do better to help stop some of this? You can't stop anything, from taking place, but at least maybe cut down on it happening in schools, because the parents send their kids to school to learn, not to have to sit and worry on their jobs if this child is going to be safe in school or not. That what are some of the things that you see happening in school that needs to change?
All right, Shannon, before I answer that, I wanted to clarify something that Mona said. You can actually take civil service exams from the age of 18. You just can't actually have the full-fledged job until you're the age of 21. So the assistant would be from the age of 18 to 20. And then at 21, you can become a full-fledged school safety agent. But while you're doing this apprenticeship, you can take the exam and then you can have yourself already on that list. So that's what I wanted to clarify. Secondly, one wanted to say about the school community and leaders, it's not much they can do. Their hands tied. The red tape, the bureaucratic red tape, because you have the city council who makes all these laws, raise the age, city council, all these things they have, city council, and then they get pushed in the school system, and then everybody has to deal with it. That's whether you're administrative, your DOE personnel, or your school safety. I mean, the best thing that any school can do is get on board with their school safety. Work with your school safety. Be a team with your school safety. Don't try to hide, cover, and have things go under the radar because you don't want them to be noted. This is exactly what happened at Murrow. So I'm going to bring this full circle. I'm a Murrow parent, and for the last 3 years, I've been on that administration, asking them for scanning, pushing for scanning, speaking to the AP of security, because they have APs for everything, the AP of security. And, she kind of was, on board with it, but, she can't go above what the school leader, which is the principal, states, and they didn't want it. But, I've been advocating for this. Mona knows I've been talking about this anytime they had a Murrow meeting, and I'm always sending out a blast, trying to organize this, because I know that what's happening around Murrow's campus, around that area, it's a lot going on there. It wasn't happening directly in the school, but I know that the weapons, high number, were being confiscated when they had unannounced scanning because they didn't have full-time scanning. So as a parent and a school safety agent, I was concerned. I've been teaching my child and grooming him, because I'm a school safety agent. This is what you need to do. This is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. That needs to happen. And 3 weeks prior to that, we had a forum on the coalition page where I said to, school admin, to, people in city council, state assembly, that I'm afraid something's going to happen. And lo and behold, it happened. Exactly what I said was going to happen. My son had a classmate who got shot in her ankle right before, this was going on. And I raised the question again then. When is this school going to admit that there's an issue? Oh, it's not inside, it's outside. Okay, now we fast forward to it's being inside. And, I'm a parent, so, when this happening is going down, I'm on the phone with my child. And Mona was a third party to this call. And, he's telling me what's happening. Because as he's walking into school that day, that's his late day, and he's seen all this chaos as he's walking in. And
so not cutting you off, but what has happened like around the school area that the school has changed? Because Edward R. Murrow used to be one of the top schools. You never heard anything bad going on in that school. People was trying to get their kids in that school. I mean, like, what all of a sudden happened now that there's all of this, these types of kids going to this school now, that has just brought the school down like this? I mean, what is going on?
But you know what, Shannon? In Murrow's defense, it's still a really great school. It has a really great curriculum. It has really great, programming. I like it for my son. I want him to remain there. But I'm telling you, it's not even the school itself. It's the tide of the streets. It's the tide of the community. It's the tide of how things have changed. No one's actually following through with these children. These children know that they have all the rights, all the say so. So you can't blame the school. I'm not blaming the school. What I'm saying is the school is not getting with the change in the times.
What they need.
And they need to.
Well, isn't it something with outside of the school that it's still considered school ground within a certain perimeter?
It's supposed to be. Yes, definitely.
And nothing. What I don't understand is that I know sometimes the city is more reactive than proactive, and I know a lot of parents and like yourself, your organizations out there really advocating for this. But I just don't understand, why does it always have to be something that happens to the extent where a child gets severely injured or lose a life for them to really say, okay, this is a major issue. We could talk about it today, but tomorrow it goes back on the back burner. But the same thing as business as usual, and we still don't have a resolution for it.
That's pride. People's prides and their egos. No one wants to admit they have a problem. It's like being like addiction. No one wants to admit they have a problem, because once you have to admit you're having a problem, now everybody has to be aware of your problem. People don't want that. They don't want the stigma. But the thing is, you need people to know that what's happening to you, what's happening there, just happening everywhere. the crime in the schools has the uptick is insane to me. I mean, we're finding knives, we're finding guns, we're finding anything that you can name is in the building. It's around the building. And if it's happening on your school perimeter, in your school area, it's still a school-based incident. But no one wants to take on that responsibility.
Then what needs to happen then, Q, is what I see needs to happen then, regardless of what the situation is, then they just need to put the scanners in every school, because once you walk through that scanner, at least the kids can feel safe. It doesn't matter where you want the scanner in there or you don't want the scanner in there, or to make the school look bad if you put the scanner in there. Just now, I guess they got to get the letters to the mayor and them and the city council to let them know we need scanners in every single school. I don't care how good or how bad the school is. Put the scanners in there so when our children pass through, at least they feel a little safe in the school during the day.
And here's the thing, Shannon, they're going to have to hire more school safety agents to perform the task. You got rid of the people that perform the task. And now you have people that's requesting it, because a lot of principals now are on edge and they want it, but we don't have the bodies in school safety to accommodate them. So one more time, we have to get out here, push, advocate. Listen, we need our bodies back, and we need everybody to respect that these children are far gone. And we have to realize that, in all these policies that are allowing these things to happen, they have to stop. We have to make these children listen consequences.
Well, see, this is where this comes in with Mona, because with the parents, these parents. Thank you, Mona, for doing the job that you have been doing. We appreciate you, but the parents need to come out and fight for this for their children, because see, the parents is the one that have the power, and you keep trying to tell them they have power, but they don't want to listen to they have power. Use that power and stop coming out there with your hands on your hip, with your neck rolling, and take care of business like you're supposed to take care of business, and say, we want scanners in this school and every school. So that way our kids can feel safe and protected. Look, our time is up. I still had more questions and stuff to ask, but you're going to have to come back again so we can finish this conversation. But I want to thank the both of you for coming on today, and at least shed some light on what's going on in the schools and what we need to do. So we just have to stay on the parents. Look, get out here, do what you need to do, use that power you have, because you do have a lot of power in the school system with your kids. So thank you for watching today. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Baze, and thank you, Jenny, for channeling in and listening to us today. So listen, thank you for joining us. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Would you like beautiful pictures for your home or your office? Then stop by Faith Art Gallery. They have a large selection of pictures from around the world.
It's Shannon.